Spurs take on the Rockets tonight. We're going to preview that, and Wemby does it again.
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
This is Emily Swallow, and you are listening to Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia.
Welcome back to Locked On Spurs right here on the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for Ken's 5 San Antonio. Glad to have you back. Hope everybody is going to have a great work week. We welcome you back right here on Locked On Spurs, your show every single day. You guys are the everydayers. Hey, this episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. So yeah, what are we talking about today? Well, we're going to be looking a little bit of the past. Now we're going to look at what happened Spurs Heat. We're going to give Wemby his shine, but we're going to look at everybody else but Wemby first. Then we're going to talk about Wemby doing it again. My goodness, it's amazing. We'll talk about the alien in a few seconds. And then we're going to dive into tonight's matchup, Spurs Rockets. What do you want to see out of this team as the preseason rolls on? And some good news, a key player, should be back tonight at the Frostbank Center versus Houston. We'll do that in a moment. We're going to have guest Joe Garcia of Two Shots Podcast. He is back, everybody. As we told y'all last week, he might be back, and sure enough, he is here. We'll introduce him in just a few seconds. So, yeah, Wemby. Whew, my goodness. I was at Spurs Heat game, and let me tell you, watching it on TV doesn't do it justice. I think it's magnified more when you're at the games, and I'm pretty sure you'll be going to a Spurs game, whether it's home or away. Brace yourself. This is something that could be very special. Yes, the Spurs had special players before. David Robinson, fun to watch. Go look at old YouTube. Incredible athlete. Tim Duncan, we know. Manu, electrifying. Tony Parker, the speed, and so many other players. But this is different. This is eye-opening. This is something that I think all Spurs fans need to experience for themselves now that the Wemby era is beginning. Whether it's old fans like myself, you kids that grew up during the Duncan Big Three era, or their kids, the new generation for the Wemby era, they have to experience this for themselves. And let me tell you, it's going to be worth every penny. We're going to dive into his numbers in a few minutes and what he did versus Miami. But just overall, I don't see how any team could stop this kid. I don't. What you will see in person is going to make you a believer. Yes, TV, that does the same thing, but to watch it happen before your eyes is something. I think in time, maybe this upcoming season, he's going to, get pushed around a bit and be tested. And sure, whatever, that's going to happen to a 19-year-old rookie. Give him about 3 or 4 years from now. Then we'll see who's be able to slow who down. It's going to be fun to watch. We're going to talk about that in a few seconds, but brace yourself, San Antonio. Put on your seatbelts. The Wemby era is here, and so far it's off to a roaring start, or whatever sound an alien makes. It's whatever that sound is, enter that name, roaring start. So it's going to be great. We're going to dive into that in a few seconds, but let's go and bring in our guest. He is Joe Garcia, Two Shots Podcast. Joe, we told everybody you'll be back, and here you are.
Yeah, I'm back. And full disclosure, we're recording this before Monday. We're recording it on a Sunday. Yeah. So I'm sporting my Dallas Cowboy hat in solidarity of hopefully the Cowboys getting a victory on Monday.
Look, this is not Locked On Cowboys, but how much are you hurting, Joe?
Yeah, man. All I can do is just hope for the best, man. But I'm not expecting a good showing. Let's put it like that.
I know. Well, good luck to your Cowboys. I guess by the time everyone's watching this, they play Monday night, right?
Play Monday night. That's why I've been sporting my Cowboy gear all day on Sunday.
Good luck to your Cowboys, mate. But let's talk about Locked On Spurs now. First of all, everybody, follow Joe on the X at Two Shots Podcast. He'll talk about his show and his YouTube show. Let's see if I can do it, Joe. The Alamo Sports.
Alamo City Sportscast.
Almost had it. Alamo City Sportscast. You know what? I got to think of it like a way to remember that. Alamo City Sportscast. So what is that? Alamo City ACS. ACS. There we go. Alamo City Sportscast. That's how I remember it. We'll talk about that show in just a few minutes. I'm so stuck in the old school ways, Joe, of saying podcast.
No.
Like cast has to be attached to pod for me. But regardless, Spurs, Heat, we'll get into a lot of Wemby talk in a few minutes. but let's try to keep it everything but Wemby. Overall, Joe, I like what I saw at the Frostbank Center. This team is going to run. And the first standout observation I had was that point guard spot. Jeremy Sohan started. It wasn't Trey Jones. That position seems to be tinkering with. Do you think that point guard spot is going to be evaluated best player person for that spot? Something tells me maybe it's not Trey Jones's job a lock anymore.
I don't think it is. I mean, from what you saw, I mean, you can also actually you could have Sohan run the point if you need to, or you could go ahead and go with Vassell. He's a shooting guard, but he's also very prolific in his court vision, and how he sees the floor and getting his teammates involved. And I got to say, Devin Vassell, man, he doesn't seem to miss. Even looking at his preseason games, even though the first one that we had, Miami versus the Heat, Miami Heat versus San Antonio Spurs, going back to silver and black open scrimmage, he did not miss. And I think I don't know who it was. I don't know if it was Sean Elliott or somebody else had mentioned that he has not missed a shot. And I'm like, man, you better not jinx him. But he's looking very good. He's looking very good. I got to say, Devin Vassell. But I did like the dynamic out there when you had them in the open floor or the open court, should I say, with Jeremy Sohan and one Victor Wembanyama. Both are young. Both love to get out and run. And you could see that they were just having fun with it. Jeremy found Wemby, and, it was electrifying. You had that thunderous dunk, and everybody at the Frost Center was standing up, and they were excited. It had a feel of almost a playoff game, even though it's just preseason. It's just how excited the fan base is and the hype surrounding Wembanyama.
Now, it wasn't a sellout, but it was close to one. I think over 17,000 showed up on a Friday night in Texas. Friday night football preseason game. That is impressive. Joe, you mentioned Devin Vassell. He had 21 points versus Miami in 21 minutes. So he was a point-a-minute guy. He connected on, I believe, 6 3-point shots out of 7. So he was on fire from deep. That spacing we saw that creates is really going to help not only Devin Vassell, but other shooters like Doug McDermott. He didn't play, but nevertheless, that's going to help him. You saw Cedi Osman, 10 points, who continually still impresses me. I think this is a great pickup for the Spurs. 10 points in 23 minutes for Osman versus the Heat. And then you had Dominic Barlow, the two-way player, 11 points off the bench in 14 minutes. Pop raved about him afterwards. Devin Vassell, he's told me that he's very high on Barlow. I spoke with him after the game, and he repeated that not once but twice, Joe, that he's very high on Barlow, that Vassell is going to take almost like a big brother mentor position with Barlow to help him gain confidence. And that's something that Pop and Vassell told me, was that all that's lacking for Barlow right now is obviously the minutes, but confidence. So he's off to a good start. Joe, you mentioned Jeremy Sohan starting. Could you foresee perhaps that being Sohan starting on opening night? Do you think they could go that route?
I think they could, because, Coach Pop is going to get cute in the beginning with the lineup and always change them. They change a couple of times. Yeah. All Spurs fans know this. And I think he can go ahead and he has some leadway there. Go ahead and see what happens with putting in Devin Vassell at the shooting guard, and you could go ahead and play around with Sohan at either the let's say the point guard running the point, or you could go ahead and switch him off and see what else he can do as far as being a forward. So I mean he's very versatile. And the thing is, you want to go ahead and put the starting lineup up there. That's going to help you not only defensively, but from an offensive perspective. And I think at this point, just me from the outside observing, looking in, I think having Devin Vassell and Jeremy Sohan in that starting lineup gives you a better chance of keeping up with a lot of the NBA's better teams as far as their starting five. I think the Spurs are going to have a really good bench this season. And that's going to be, I think, the difference maker in these games, as we talked about. Third quarters that weren't really good for the Spurs. Fourth quarters, Spurs had the lead, squander it, lose the game. I think having a great second unit, and the Spurs have the possibility to have that, including a really well-balanced starting five. I mean, if you're not excited about this, you're not a Spurs fan. But going back, I'm just going to say pump the brakes a little bit. It's okay to be excited, But you got to just say, look, man, you can't go by just the hype, and it's preseason. It's a small taste. It's a small taste.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is just wait and see. Just wait and see.
Yeah. It is preseason, as Joe mentioned. Also, to Miami came depleted.
Yeah.
I mean, they were not a full powered out roster. Nevertheless, probably not many teams are going to be full powered during the preseason, but nevertheless, they didn't. I mean, there was a G League game basically for the Spurs were playing the G League team. That's what it came down to. Jimmy Butler didn't play. Duncan Robinson started. This is your Heat starting lineup. Duncan Robinson, Jamal Cain, Thomas Bryant, Haywood Highsmith, Drew Smith. That's who Miami trotted out. And the Spurs got the win over that squad, 120-104, again in preseason action. Malachi Brandon continued to impress, 8 points off the bench. I think he's going to have a nice role as a second unit guy coming off that bench for the Spurs. You had, just contributions from everywhere. You had Blake Wesley with 8 points. You had Sandro Mamu with 6 points. You just all around. The additions, the people the players that stayed over into the last season to now, this team could possibly be one of those teams that a power team in the NBA or the West doesn't want to face. Like they could be that sneaky pain in the you-know-what team throughout the season. So I think the Spurs are putting the league on notice. Again, we get it. It is preseason game, but this team is pretty talented. Hey, we get back. We're going to shift gears and talk about Wemby. Yes, he did it again. Another impressive outing. What is Joe impressed about Wemby so far in the preseason? Should we be just taking it with a grain of salt and more? Yeah, maybe, just maybe. We'll discuss that. So we're going to be discussing that shortly. Hey, I want to talk to you about Game Time. Go to gametime.co right now. Look, you don't want to get frustrated with tickets. You want to enjoy the ticket buying experience, and that's where Game Time comes in. They make it super easy for you. You don't have to be worrying, during that whole process when you're buying tickets to the next big event. Game Time is the fast and easiest way to get those tickets to sports, music, comedy, theater events near you. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seats, the best price guaranteed, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. Again, the lowest price guaranteed, event cancellation protection, job loss protection. They got you covered at Game Time. You always want to go to Game Time every time you have an event you want to go to. Look, Game Time has deals on tickets even right up to the start of the event. Even after an hour it starts, they'll have tickets available. It's the place to find last-minute seats. With zone deals, you can pick the selection, and then Game Time will then pick the seats for you for an average of 18% savings. Look, the Spurs, the season's starting. You want to go catch the Wemby era, the beginnings of it. What a better way to get tickets than going to Game Time right now? And Game Time will even credit you 110% of the difference if you find tickets in the same section in a row for less. They got your back. Download the Game Time app right now. Create an account. Use Locked On NBA for $20 off your first purchase. Now, terms apply. Again, create an account. Redeem code Locked On NBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
Hey everybody, this is Nathan Ray Clark from Criminal Minds and Modern Family, and you are listening to Locked On Spurs, hosted by Victor Wembanyama's new best friend, Jeff Garcia.
And we're back right here on Locked On Spurs with Joe Garcia, Two Shots Podcast. And Joe, I wish Wemby's my best friend as friend of the show. Nathan Ray Clark, actor out of Corpus Christi, told me right now, Joe, maybe one day, Joe, Wemby be my best friend. I doubt
maybe.
it. I don't
Show him
think
your nerd collection. Show him your geek collection.
That might be the reason. That could be it. That might be it. We'll see. But we thank Nathan for that little quick shout out. Hey, we're talking about your silver and black right here on Locked On Spurs with that guy, Joe Garcia of Two Shots Podcast, diehard Cowboy fan. I'm hurting for you, man.
I know you're
I'm a Cowboy fan, but you are a Cowboy fan. Yeah, you love that silver star, don't you? You love that blue star.
I'm getting tired of them, dude. If Jerry goes ahead and extends Dak, I'm done, and I'm gonna go ahead and look to pledge my allegiance to a winning team because I'm tired of losing.
What about the Texans? I mean, still Texas.
No.
All right. Well, enough about that. Let's talk about your Spurs in the Wemby era. Look, preseason game number 2, and Wemby does it again, Joe. another blockbuster night for him. He had 23 points. He was a plus 13 for the Spurs. He had 4 rebounds, 4 assists. He also shot 10 for 15 from the field and knocked down a 3-point shot. All that in 22 minutes. And Pop, after the game, said that he only called 1 play for him. That's it. The rest was all him. What you saw out there, that was just Wemby playing. Joe, as great as that performance is, do we still have to keep it in context, knowing that Miami didn't play their power players?
I mean, of course, there's always going to be that, discussion, that thing in the back of your head saying he had a great game, but, and that's the thing that I guess kind of the naysayers like to say.
Yeah.
He had a great game, but this happened. He had a great game, but this happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I get that, and that's probably going to be the consensus going into preseason because that teams are going to start resting some of their starters and their best players. They don't want to go ahead and risk injury, so they're going to roll out the second unit, the third unit. They're going to get a lot of run, and Wemby's going to look like a world beater, a dominator, against some of the lesser talented players. But this is the NBA level. I mean, you're playing against elite athletes. So I don't know if you could really say, oh, he's not going to look very good. He is playing against NBA talent. So to his credit, Wemby has been performing. He's showing that the spotlight doesn't really bother him. He's dispelling a lot of the rumors, oh, he's overrated. Oh, he's not, he doesn't have all the skills needed to be prolific at this next level. And I think he's just coming out and making a statement and showing that, what, the hype is real. He's kind of putting the doubters and making them be quiet a little bit, humble themselves because of what he's been able to do in the last, 2 preseason games? First preseason game, 23 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 blocks. Second, 20 points, 5 rebounds, 1 block, 61% field goal percentage as far as his shooting percentage goes. I mean, he played 23 minutes, then he played 19 minutes. The kid's, he's got it all, man. He has it all. Got the court vision. And the thing is, Jeff, at 7'3", I have never seen somebody as tall as him have the handles like Wemby.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Move like Wemby, has the speed like Wemby, has a little Euro step.
He does,
Up on a dime, he can move, he can jump. He's got it all. He got the explosive length. He's a complete package, man. So it's like, I mean, what else does he need to do other than just go out there and help the Spurs win a ton of games?
Well, what he needs to do is, I would think for him next is to play against teams at full power. Look, Bam Adebayo did not play versus San Antonio in a preseason game. I think that would have been a very, very good early test for Wemby to see when he goes up against one of the better bigs in the NBA, Jimmy Butler. That would have been a good test for him in the interior defense. If Butler wants to drive in and try to force the action on him, could he handle that type of thing? Also getting him used to star players getting star calls, and maybe see how he reacts to refs, maybe not giving him those favorable calls because he's still just a rookie. So things like that, I need to see him continue to get experience in and more. But there's no denying the talent. The talent is just there. We saw him at the Frost Bank Center take 1-2 steps without dribbling for a bucket. We saw the Euros you mentioned. One thing I would like for him to do is perhaps establish himself more as a post presence on the offensive end. Defensively, we know that he disrupts. We saw it. So for 2 preseason nights. But he tends to want to face up to the basket. Remember how David Robinson would always have that face-up basket? He would always pivot and turn, and you'll be like, back in the day, David, you're taller than anybody. Go in there and just dunk it on people. I think I'd like to see that from Wemby. That length alone. Vassell talked about that after the game, said he would love to see Wemby roll more to the basket. Nobody can stop him. You just lob it up there. Trey Jones, lobbing it up there. Vassell, just throw it up there. He'll catch it. I think I would love to see him get used to that situation. Joe, your thoughts?
I would too. I'd like to see him, but it's something that he has to get comfortable with. He has to develop that skill set. He has to kind of overcome certain tendencies in his game. This is going to be his first year. His rookie season. It's going to be a lot of learning that's going on in this season, and you're going to see him elevate his game and get better as the season goes on. But even just raw Wemby right now is something that you get excited for as a Spurs fan. We haven't seen somebody this dominant. We haven't seen a dominant force like this from the San Antonio Spurs since the days of Tim Duncan, and you're looking at David
Yeah.
Robinson. So it's something to get excited for. The only thing that I can see that could happen, and they said, oh, he's unstoppable. Well, nobody's unstoppable. And the thing is, the way I think teams will go ahead and combat his length, his speed, and athleticism is to get him out of rhythm. I foresee that someone going up against some of the better talent, they're going to wind up getting him frustrated. And it doesn't mean that they have to go and, do a lot. Just go ahead and put him at the stripe. Don't let him get in rhythm. Really be aggressive with him, since you can't combat length. You can't do anything against his size, but you can go ahead and make things really hard for him, get him frustrated. And I think that's one thing that he's going to have to learn to overcome, and including the bad calls, because when he's going up against veteran players, who's going to get the better end of that stick? And it's not going to be Wemby. It's going to be some of the veteran players. They're going to resort to flopping, and that kind of nonsense.
Yeah, I there's no denying the skill. When he faces up to the basket, I mean, he has the handle. He's showing it. He can knock down the midi. That's great. But I just would like to see him just maybe run a 4 down for him, Pop, just for fun. Run a 4 down, classic Tim Duncan, and let's see what he do with this back to the basket.
I want to see some pick and roll action between him and Jeremy.
Perfect. Yeah, we'll roll that too. Yes, that's good. Well, let's see that. Look, he's great on the perimeter. He can face up the basket, take you off the dribble, hit the 3, hit the mid-range. We know that. But I think as he just naturally grows into his body and gets thicker and heavier, see him establish himself in the low block, because that length alone, I mean, he could just like pivot, stand underneath the basket and put his hand up, and nobody can even touch his hand. Yeah. They're like kind of like this, like he has so much gap there.
He doesn't even need to jump to dunk the ball.
He doesn't need to jump and just like flick it over, learn that sky hook, something. So I like to see that continue.
Oh man, can you imagine if he learned how to do a teardrop? Like that would be unstoppable.
Forget about it. Yeah, forget about it. Exactly. And Vassell was talking about that. He said he would like to see Wemby roll more because he thinks he can be unstoppable in that situation. But again, Wemby does it again, another 20-point outing, plus-point outing, and just dominated, caused defensive havoc, put people on a poster, Joe.
Yeah, I want to see
him. You saw that dunk.
Yeah, I did. I mean, he just came down.
Holy smokes.
I want to see
Thomas Bryant of the Heat. Thomas Bryant of the Heat looked at this Heat bench like, what do you want me to do? Like, what can I do? Yeah, so.
It's like that. What's that saying that I keep telling you? You can't stop the rain when it's about to fall. If it's going to rain, you can't stop it. You can't stop Wemby.
Stop Wemby's raining if he's on. Yeah, you can't stop it. All right, when we get back, we're going to look at tonight's game, Spurs Rockets, and more. Yeah, it's game preseason number 3. So, yeah. Let's look at that in just a few seconds. But before we do that, do you ever feel like your brain is getting in your own way? Do you feel like, just things are just so hectic? This is where BetterHelp comes in. So you need to know what's good for you, but perhaps sometimes you just don't know how to go about it. Therapy helps you figure out what's holding you back so you can work on yourself instead of against yourself. It's a difference there. Look, if you benefit from therapy before and you would like to get back on that again and get on that track, go to BetterHelp right now. Look, it's helpful for learning experiences to develop those coping skills, or just having coping skills in general, positive coping skills, how to set boundaries, what empowers you to be the best vision of yourself. Look, it isn't just for those who have experienced major trauma. It could be just for you, for your daily life. So if you're thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire and get matched with an online therapist, switch therapists as well, at any time for no additional charge. Make your brain your friend with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA right now and get yourself 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA. And I also want to talk to you about Mudslinger's Drive-Thru Coffee. You want to go there right now, 2404 Thousand Oaks Drive. That's in the San Antonio area. It's 281-1604. You want to go there and get their delicious coffee and just overall drink menu and the mini donuts. They have the Sub-Zero. If you're a big UTSA fan, Frank Harris fan, get that drink. If you're an old school guy like me who remembers the Orange Julius, get the OG. Get those nostalgia vibes going again. They recreated it only at Mudslinger's Drive-Thru Coffee. They're a proud local sponsor of Locked On Spurs, the first local sponsor of Locked On Spurs, and they love helping out the San Antonio community, getting the day going with delicious coffee. From their signature drink, the Mudslinger, to their Red Bull infused lightning bolt series that'll really jumpstart your day or keep you going throughout your day. And of course, they got the Alien. It's Wemby time in San Antonio. Get yourself the Alien. That's a full can of Red Bull. Kiwi, green apple, all mixed together, a delicious drink. You got to go get it right now. They're open every day, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Again, 2404 Thousand Oaks Drive. If you're in San Antonio, head on out there right now. Get those mini donuts. They're a huge hit with the fans. They got dairy alternatives. They got a wide range of coffees for you to sample. They got so many others, including the Money Bags matcha tea. Look, I ain't going to say anything. If you can afford that, go get yourself. If you got $100 to burn, go get yourself that. It comes with a Browns goblet, and I'm not kidding you. I'm not joking. It comes with the goblet. If you think you have money for that, go get it right now over at Muslinger's Drive-Thru Coffee. You can find them on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter /X, Threads at Muslinger SA2TX. So that's what I do. Muslinger SATX, all one word. Muslinger's Drive-Thru Coffee. You want to go there right now. 2404 Thousand Oaks Drive. Life is too short for bland coffee. Let's go and bring in our guest. He is back, everybody. There he is. Joe Garcia, who probably ran out to get himself a Muslinger's coffee during his break right now. Is that right, Joe?
Yeah. I love me some mudslingers, man. You didn't even mention the little mini donuts, dude. And I know how much you like them. You're going to down a whole cup or two of little mini donuts, just like you downed the whole sleeve of crackers during COVID.
Oh, man. That's all I had to eat that day.
I know.
I remember
we laughed about it.
Shortage. Yeah, and I had a sleeve of freaking saltines.
Yeah, I remember that. That was so funny because you're like, Joe, I just downed a whole sleeve of crackers because I ain't got nothing else.
All right. Well, the Spurs get back to work today versus the Rockets. That'll be at the Frost Bank Center. They kind of have like a three preseason stand right now. They got the Rockets tonight. They got the Rockets again before they play their final game out in California versus the Warriors. But tonight is the Rockets. Look, Joe, first of all, Spurs Rockets fans have been warned throughout the offseason. This is a start of reviving the old school 90s Spurs Rockets rivalry. So hopefully that'll get sparks tonight. But on the court, what can you say? They're likely to get Keldon Johnson back. That's going to help this team start getting that chemistry going. It's another key piece who has not yet played with Wemby in a game. So that's going to help Keldon. That's also going to help Wemby get used to Keldon as well. This team is close to being 100%. I think that's going to be key tonight. Not necessarily the win or the home who has so many points. I just got to see this team start finally playing together, Joe. Getting Keldon back should help that.
You would think it would help, I mean, getting Keldon back, I mean, that's always going to help your chances on winning, but he might be a little rusty too, because it's been a while since he's, last made his appearance on the court. I mean, I'm sure he's rehabbing and doing what he needs to in practice, but Spurs fans have been adamant about where's Keldon. I want to see Keldon play, and I mean, me too. I want to see Keldon play. So if he comes back on the court, shake off the rust, might take him a little, a couple shots here and there, but I think he'll be true to form again and perform at a high level. And of course, the Spurs are going to look even better. Maybe the fans will start hyping the game up even more. They're going to say, hey, we're going to be going to the NBA Finals. And I'm going to be like, I don't know, man. I'm just going to be happy for them to go ahead and win a couple games. Keldon helps their cause and makes them look even better. And whatever happens, man, hey, I'm here for the ride. But it's the new era here. It's the Wemby era.
You sound like 90s Jerry Seinfeld. Hey, what is going on here? Hey, what's up?
I'm just here for the ride, dude.
I'm just here for the ride.
Whatever happens this season.
Who are these Rockets fans?
Man. These Rocket fans, man. Getting to the Rockets and Spurs preview. This is going to be one of those heated rivalries because Rockets fans are salty because they did Wemby. We saw the video, that was all over Twitter and them getting mad and cursing and all upset, and they're like, "Oh, the Spurs are not going to be any good with Wemby anyway. Wemby's a bust." And I'm like, didn't you guys want Wemby? And then you get all mad because the Spurs got him, and then there was the accusations, "Oh, it's a rigged league,"
and all that stuff. Yeah, but as far as this other thing, I like to see tonight versus Houston. Wemby played 22 minutes in the last game versus the Heat. I think that's about right. At least I'd love for him to stay in that range there. No overtaxing him. Getting him just ready for the upcoming regular season. So 20 to 25 minutes. I'd like to see that stay there and for him to still get accustomed to his team. Also, too, I'm watching for who's going to be the starting point guard. We're getting closer to the start of the regular season. They're going to have to find out who's going to be starting. Last time it was Sohan versus the Heat. Before that, it was Trey Jones. Who might start? I mean, wouldn't be surprised if it's a different player. What if it's Vassell at the starting point guard? What if it's Keldon? I mean, he ran point for a while. I know he was doing that with the Austin Spurs during his short stint there. So to see that, where they're going to go with that, something to keep an eye on tonight. Also, too, I would love to see Malachi Branham continue playing well. I think if he does it again, has another respectable game, he could be threatening perhaps for sixth man, seventh man, that early guy that comes in. So that's something to watch out for. What are you looking out for tonight, Joe?
I'm looking at Wemby. I want to see what Wemby can put up there. I want to see him put up numbers that are closer to a double-double. You know, having let's say scoring 20 points plus a game, it's always great, you know. Has a couple of assists, you know, a block here and there. Great numbers. I just want to see him be a little bit more prolific when it comes to rebounding. You know, seeing he has that length, you know, I want to see him at least put up 10 rebounds a game going along with 20 points. To me, that would be like, hey, you're really helping your team because you're giving them that opportunity to score in second chance points, or you're getting the rebound and you're sending it the other way because somebody's out open on the break, you know?
Right.
You're giving them even better chances to score in the open court, fast break points, you know?
So, Joe, hate to interrupt you there, but we got somewhat of a little bit of breaking news right here.
Really?
The Spurs, during the recording, did announce that Devin Vassell, Trey Jones, and Wembanyama will not play versus the Rockets. So we're really now that kind of shifts things now.
Now
we're going to see other players get their time to shine. So your Branhams, your Barlows, your Jabari Rice, your Bassie. Joe, why is it important for those guys to get some burn?
Well, it's the supporting cast, you know, the next man up, so to speak. These are going to be your younger players that don't have quite a lot of experience as some of the other Spurs veterans at this time. And I guess you could call Jeremy Sohan now a vet, you know, because he's not a rookie anymore, you know. So
I'm not going to be surprised if he's the starting point guard again tonight.
Wouldn't surprise me if he was. But, you know, you just want to kind of see what you have, I guess, so to speak. Just like, you know, Spurs fans have been wondering, what is the surrounding cast, you know, going to look like around Wemby, you know? And I think, you know, the Spurs coaching staff want to see the same thing. They're going to want to kick the tires a little bit and see what the young Bucks have. Because let's be honest, the Spurs have to make some cuts before this, you know, training camp is over. So
and I think that's what
for their job at this point.
And I think that's what this is right now too. They got to start trimming down. So let's free up some minutes for those guys that are on the fringe, you know, that could have a roster spot or, you know, just be stashed away in Austin. So I think that's another aspect of this. Obviously, you know, perhaps we don't know. The Rockets haven't announced their injury list. So if they go full power, maybe it's an L for the Spurs. It doesn't matter. Right now, this team just needs to evaluate talent. So, Joe, I think that might be on the list tonight is for Pop and the coach to look at the talent, right, that they got left, right?
Kick the tires.
Is there somebody on the fringe that you think should get a spot? For me, it's Don Barlow. It's got to be him.
It's always been Barlow for me as well, man. I mean, I want to see the kid do well. You know, not only Barlow, you know, you also have, you know, Malachi Branham as well, you know, and you have high hopes for these kids, you know, even Blake Wesley, you know, and they're not rookies anymore. You know, they're going to be entering their second season already, you know, and you want to see what they got, you know, you want to kick the tires on the kids, see what the growth has been like, you know, in this off season and have they put some things together. And that's all the coaching staff is going to be looking for. How well have they went ahead and put some of the things that they've learned or been working on in the off season to, you know, utilization in the context of a normal NBA game. And again, they're fighting for roster spots. You know, are they going to be starting? Are they going to be the third option? They want to be the second option. Are they going to really impress and try to make a way to go ahead and get into that starting lineup? You know, they just want to go ahead and play. And I mean, this is the time that you want to go ahead and show the coaching staff what you got if you want to go ahead and get those minutes, because we know Coach Pop knows that there's not a lot of minutes to go around. And if somebody gets injured, your number's going to be called.
The guys that are likely in the fringe, you know, Don Bar. When I say fringe, like as far as getting like a you know, more than a permanent, like a permanent, like they're two-way guys like that. Don Barlow likely to come back and forth. but they're going to be looking at Jabari Rice. They're likely to be looking at Barlow, guys like that. Bediako, one of the new guys they added recently. So those guys, your time is now tonight versus Houston. So they better show out.
Same thing for fan favorite Mamu. Mamu, where does he fit?
Yeah. How does he fit? So keep an eye on that. So good thing the Spurs announced this during this recording, so we can adjust on the fly. So once again, the Spurs did announce that Trey Jones, Devin Vassell, and Victor Wembanyama will not play tonight versus Houston. So do with that as you will. It's just a preseason game, everybody. The sky's not falling, okay? It's just a preseason game. As Joe and I mentioned right now, it's likely just to evaluate talent as the cuts.
Yeah, now that the announcement's been made, who's actually going to watch the game?
I think people we'll definitely see that. Yeah, the Wemby effect in reverse. Him not playing, he's going to not affect the fan viewership.
I think they'll still watch because it's going to be available on TV, and that hasn't really happened in the past.
I think so too. All right, we're done talking. We want to hear from you. What do you think about the Spurs so far in the preseason games? They played against Miami. What did you like about that? Victor, Devin, Trey, somebody else? Also, what about Wemby so far? 2 games in, and he's just lighting it up. Grain of salt, considering this preseason and these teams are not at full power? Or is it just you're liking what you see and hopefully it translates in the regular season? And Spurs Rockets tonight. Leave us your thoughts. Joe, talk to us about Alamo City Sports, right? I got it.
Alamo City Sportscast. You don't
got it.
We're gonna have to start like a swear jar every time Jeff doesn't get it right. We're gonna make him drop $1, maybe $100, and then buy the drink from over there at Mudslingers, the money bags.
Oh, no way. Alamo City Sportscast, Joe. What's going on with that?
Well, we have a new episode coming out here on Monday. We're going to go ahead and review the weekend that was, sports, not just San Antonio sports, but all sports that are local, not just here, but on the national level as well. Talking about NFL football, MLB. We got the Rangers. We got the Astros coming up. We want to go ahead and kind of see where that's going to go. I know that I'm partial to maybe having the Rangers win just because I know I have a lot of my friends that are Astros fans. So there's going to be a lot of hazing going on there. So look for a new episode to drop on Monday. We're going to be talking about some interesting things here when it comes to recording an episode of Two Shots, which I want Jeff on for that one since we're both OGs and we both know a lot of the history of the San Antonio Spurs. We know that in order for the team to grow, some of these pieces have to go. So we're going to go ahead and kind of enlighten Spurs fans in the history of San Antonio Spurs basketball and what needs to happen in order for the team to go ahead and reach that next level. And yes, Spurs fans, unfortunately, it has to hurt. We said goodbye to some of the fan favorites back in the day, and I think history is about to repeat itself.
Oh no, Joe, what are you going to put us through, Joe?
Hey man, history doesn't lie. It's undefeated. If you go back, and we're going to talk about this. We're going to go back and, hey, Bruce Bowen, he's never going to be traded. He's a fan favorite. Malik Rose, fan favorite. Sean Elliott, fan favorite, could never be traded. I mean, come on, dude. You've seen what's happened.
It's a business, Joe. It's a business, as they say.
It's a business. Don't get attached to players. Let's put it like that.
Absolutely. So look forward to that on Joe's Alamo City Sportscast on YouTube. And, of course, his regular show, Two Shots Podcast. Check it out. He'll be back in business today. Likely by the time you're watching this episode, it's already out. Or maybe it's about to be out. So make sure to follow Joe on Twitter at Two Shots Podcast. And thank you for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every day. You guys are the everydayers. On tomorrow's show, it's going to be Casey Vieira. He's going to be joining, talking all things silver and black with me. And full disclosure now, he can only do an audio show. So it's only audio tomorrow. Giving you the heads up. He already told me he cannot do video. So, yeah, he's going to be a dad. And there's a lot of dad stuff at his house right now. So he doesn't want nobody seeing what's going on at Casey Vieira Manor right now, Joe. They're babyfying that place right now. So
I'm surprised he has time to even, do audio only.
Well, he told me at the game, he said, I have maybe one more week before he's on lockdown. So this is it. So he'll be coming on tomorrow.
He'll be on standby, yeah.
Yeah. He's coming on tomorrow to talk all things silver and black. Again, subscribe to Locked On Spurs, Google Play, Stitcher, iTunes, the Kens 5 Plus app, the YouTube page. We love all the comments you're leaving there at the YouTube page. Continue doing that. So for Joe Garcia, I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.